Beringian Standstill during the Last Glacial Maximum. During the Last Glacial Maximum, approximately 26,000 to 19,000 years ago, vast portions of the Earth were enveloped in ice, transforming landscapes and influencing the very survival of human populations. In North America, the situation was particularly dramatic, as immense ice sheets covered much of Canada and parts of the northern United States. Yet, within this frozen expanse lay Beringia, a land that served as both a refuge and a passage for early human populations. This region, stretching from what is now Siberia to Alaska, was characterized by a unique ecosystem that provided critical resources for the small groups of people who inhabited it. During the peak of glacial conditions, Beringia emerged as an ice-free corridor, flanked by towering glaciers that carved the surrounding terrain. The environment was not the inhospitable wasteland one might expect. Instead, it was a mosaic of tundra, grasslands, and wetlands, teeming with life. Large herbivores like mammoths, bison, and caribou roamed the plains, while a variety of smaller game, fish, and edible plants were available to sustain the human inhabitants. This rich biodiversity allowed for a subsistence lifestyle that was adaptable and sustainable, enabling early peoples to thrive in isolation. The concept of the Beringian Standstill hypothesizes that human populations were marooned in this region for thousands of years due to the harsh climatic conditions and the extensive ice coverage that hindered southward migration. Archaeological evidence suggests that these early groups, often referred to as the Beringians, developed distinct cultural adaptations to their environment during this prolonged period of isolation. They became adept at hunting the megafauna that populated their territory and gathered a diverse array of plant resources, showcasing a high degree of resourcefulness in an unpredictable landscape. As the climate began to shift around 19,000 years ago, the gradual warming trend initiated a series of transformations that would ultimately alter the course of human migration into the Americas. The melting glaciers opened up new pathways southward. The most significant of these routes was the interior corridor, a passage through the North American continent that became increasingly accessible by about 13,000 years ago. However, prior to the full emergence of this corridor, the coastal route, often referred to as the Kelp Highway, presented an alternative migration route for those seeking to expand it beyond Beringia. The Kelp Highway was not merely a geographical feature, but a rich ecological corridor. Coastal foragers likely exploited the abundant marine resources, fish, shellfish, and sea mammals that thrived along the Pacific coastline. The kelp forests provided not only food, but also raw materials for tools and shelter. As groups ventured southward along the coast, they would have encountered varied environments, including estuaries and river mouths that facilitated fishing and gathering. This maritime adaptation showcased the ingenuity of early peoples as they utilized the resources available to them in innovative ways, laying the groundwork for later coastal cultures. While some groups moved southward through coastal waters, others began to explore the interior corridor as it opened up. This transition marked a significant turning point in the peopling of the Americas. As populations dispersed, they brought with them cultural knowledge and technologies acquired during their time in Beringia. The archaeological record reveals evidence of these migrations through various sites across North America, including the famous Clovis culture, which emerged around 13,000 years ago, characterized by distinctive stone tools optimized for big game hunting. The entry of these early peoples into new territories was not simply a matter of survival. It represented a complex interplay of environmental factors, cultural adaptation, and social dynamics. The population growth that followed the warming climate and the opening of new migration routes led to greater competition for resources. As groups settled in different regions, they adapted to the varied landscapes and ecological niches they encountered. resulting in the emergence of diverse cultural traditions and lifeways across the continent. In the wake of these migrations, the legacy of the Beringian Standstill became evident in the genetic and cultural diversity that would characterize Native American populations. Ancient DNA analyses have illuminated the connections between these early migrants and their descendants, revealing patterns of divergence that align with the environmental adaptations and cultural developments observed in archaeological records. The Anzac I burial, discovered in Montana and dating to around 12,600 years ago, serves as a poignant reminder of the deep historical roots of these populations, linking them back to their Beringian origins. As the climate continued to warm and the landscapes evolved, the early inhabitants of North America faced new challenges and opportunities. The gradual transition from the Pleistocene to the Holocene brought about significant ecological changes, including the extinctions of many megafaunal species. These shifts forced human populations to adapt their subsistence strategies, relying less on big game hunting and more on a diverse array of resources. The legacy of the Beringian Standstill would echo through the millennia, shaping the cultural and ecological landscape of North America and influencing the trajectories of the diverse indigenous societies that would flourish long before European contact. In summary, the Beringian Standstill during the Last Glacial Maximum was a pivotal moment in the history of early human migration into the Americas. This period of isolation allowed for the development of distinct cultural adaptations among the early inhabitants of Beringia, ultimately setting the stage for the profound transformations that would follow as groups dispersed into new territories. The interplay of environmental conditions, resource availability, and cultural innovation created a dynamic backdrop for the peopling of North America, highlighting the resilience and adaptability of early human populations in the face of a changing world. Dispersal from Beringia. Coastal and interior routes. The dispersal of peoples from Beringia marks a pivotal chapter in the story of human migration to the Americas. As the planet transitioned from the grips of the Last Glacial Maximum, the landscape of North America began to change dramatically, offering new opportunities and challenges for the early inhabitants. The isolation of populations in and around Beringia, a land bridge connecting Asia and North America, laid the groundwork for a series of migrations that would shape the continent's demographic and cultural fabric. As the ice sheets receded, two primary routes emerged for the migration of these early peoples. The coastal route along the Pacific shoreline, often referred to as the Kelp Highway, and the interior route through what would become the Canadian Rockies. Each path offered unique advantages and challenges, influencing the lifeways of those who traveled them. The coastal route was particularly appealing for its rich marine resources. The kelp forests that lined the Pacific coast provided a bounty of food, including fish, shellfish, and marine mammals. Archaeological evidence suggests that early peoples were adept at exploiting these resources, developing sophisticated hunting and gathering techniques suited to a coastal environment. Sites like the Paisley Caves in Oregon reveal that these early inhabitants consumed a diverse diet that included not just terrestrial game, but a wealth of aquatic resources. The abundance of food along the coast likely supported larger populations, facilitating social interactions and the development of complex community structures. The Kelp Highway offered not only sustenance, but also a means of travel. Canoes and other watercraft would have allowed groups to navigate the coastal waters, fostering trade and cultural exchange between communities. Evidence from ancient DNA suggests that some of the earliest inhabitants of the Americas, including the ancient Beringians, may have utilized this coastal route to migrate southward. This maritime pathway stands as a testament to human adaptability and ingenuity, enabling the peopling of previously uninhabited regions. In contrast, the interior route provided a different set of advantages. As the climate warmed, a corridor opened through the interior of North America, facilitating movement across the continent. This ice-free corridor, emerging at approximately 13,000 to 12,000 years ago, allowed groups to migrate into the heart of the continent. The vast grasslands, rivers, and varied ecosystems of this interior corridor supported diverse megafauna, including mammoths and bison, which became crucial resources for these early hunters. Archaeological sites such as the Gault site in Texas and the Manus Mastodon site in Washington reveal insights into the hunting strategies employed by these early peoples. Utilizing advanced lithic technologies such as the Clovis and Folsom points, these hunter-gatherers adapted to their environments, developing strategies to track and hunt large game. Their mobility was key. They followed the seasonal migrations of animals, exploiting different ecosystems as they moved. The timing and routes of these migrations have been subjects of considerable debate among scholars. The evidence supporting the coastal route is robust, yet some researchers argue that the interior corridor was the primary pathway for early migrants. The existence of pre-Clovis sites, such as Bluefish Caves in the Yukon and Meadowcroft Rock Shelter in Pennsylvania, challenges the notion of a single migration model, suggesting that multiple groups may have taken various routes into the continent. Ancient DNA studies have provided additional clarity, revealing connections between modern indigenous populations and their ancient ancestors. For instance, the Anzac I burial in Montana, dating to around 12,600 years ago, has offered critical insights into the genetic lineage of early Americans. This ancient infant's DNA supports theories of a shared ancestry with populations in Beringia, illustrating the complex web of migrations that ensued as these early peoples dispersed across the continent. As groups began to establish themselves in diverse environments, they adapted their cultural practices to suit local conditions. The coastal inhabitants of the Pacific Northwest, for example, developed intricate fishing technologies and social structures based on the rich aquatic resources available to them. In contrast, those who migrated into the interior adapted their subsistence strategies to focus on big game hunting, utilizing the vast plains and river valleys that defined the landscape. The interplay between these two routes, the coastal and the interior, demonstrates the dynamic nature of early human movement in the Americas. As environmental conditions fluctuated, so too did the patterns of migration. The warming climate not only facilitated the opening of new pathways, but also altered the ecosystems that early peoples depended on, leading to diverse adaptations and innovations. The significance of these migrations extends beyond mere survival. They laid the foundation for the rich cultural tapestry that would develop across North America. As groups settled into new regions, they formed distinct identities shaped by their environments, resources, and social interactions. The legacies of these early migrations resonate through the millennia, influencing the cultural landscapes of indigenous nations that thrive to this day. Ultimately, the dispersal from Beringia encapsulates a remarkable journey of human resilience and adaptability. By navigating the challenges of a changing world, these early inhabitants set the stage for the cultural and demographic diversity that would characterize North America long before the arrival of Europeans. Their stories, etched into the archaeological record, remind us of the intricate and interconnected history that precedes the modern era, offering a glimpse into the lives of those who first called this vast continent home. Early archaeological evidence of migration. The exploration of early migration routes into North America is a captivating journey that reveals not only the resilience of the human spirit, but also the ingenuity that defined early peoples as they adapted to a rapidly changing world. As we delve into the early archaeological evidence of these migrations, we uncover stories etched in the land, buried beneath layers of sediment, and preserved in the artifacts left behind by those who ventured across vast and treacherous landscapes. The first compelling evidence of human presence in North America comes from sites that date back to the late Pleistocene epoch, around 15,000 years ago. One of the most celebrated of these sites is the Bluefish Caves in the Yukon Territory, Canada. Here, researchers unearthed animal remains exhibiting cut marks that suggest human interaction. The bones of prehistoric megafauna, including caribou and bison, along with stone tools, indicate that these early inhabitants not only hunted, but also processed their quarry using sophisticated techniques. The implications of such findings are profound, as they imply a level of planning and resourcefulness that challenges our understanding of the cognitive capabilities of these early peoples. Equally significant is Meadowcroft Rock Shelter in Pennsylvania, a site that has provided some of the oldest evidence of human occupation in North America. Radiocarbon dating of artifacts places human presence at Meadowcroft between 19,000 and 15,000 years ago. Layers of sediment reveal a continuous habitation sequence, with tools, fire pits, and remnants of meals that paint a vivid picture of a community living in harmony with their environment. The diversity of artifacts found at this location suggests a broad diet, encompassing not only large game, but also small mammals, fish, and plant materials. This adaptability highlights the resourcefulness of early populations as they navigated the challenges of the post-glacial landscape. In Texas, the Deborah L. Fridkin site and Buttermilk Creek also offer crucial insights into early migrations. Excavations at these sites have revealed tools associated with the Clovis culture, dating back to around 13,000 years ago. The artifacts, including finely crafted projectile points and stone blades, reflect a highly developed lithic technology that enabled these early peoples to thrive in the face of environmental shifts. In essence, these tools were not just instruments of survival. They were symbols of cultural identity and innovation. The evidence from the Galt site in central Texas extends our understanding of early human activity even further. Here, researchers have uncovered a stratified sequence of artifacts that suggests a long-term occupation of the area. The artifacts, including bifacial tools and evidence of habitation structures, demonstrate a sustained presence of human populations. The stratigraphy indicates multiple phases of occupation, providing a timeline that allows us to trace the evolution of early cultural practices over thousands of years. This continuity of habitation highlights the importance of specific locales as hubs of human activity, enabling social interaction and cultural exchange. The Paisley Caves in Oregon add another layer to the narrative of migration into North America. The discovery of ancient coprolites, fossilized feces, has provided direct evidence of human presence dating back to around 14,000 years ago. DNA analysis of these coprolites revealed the presence of plant materials, suggesting a diverse diet that included foraged foods. The implications of this find are significant, as they challenge the notion that early inhabitants relied solely on hunting for survival. Instead, they illustrate a more complex subsistence strategy that involved a deep understanding of the local ecosystem. In Washington state, the Manus Mastodon site has yielded remarkable evidence of human activity associated with megafauna. The discovery of a spear point embedded in the rib of a mastodon offers tangible proof of the hunting practices employed by early Americans. This evidence not only affirms the hunting capabilities of these early peoples, but also illustrates the intricate relationship they had with the megafauna that roamed the continent. Such interactions would have been pivotal in shaping their cultural practices and technological innovations. The Cooper's Ferry site in Idaho stands as another testament to early migration, with evidence indicating human occupation as early as 16,000 years ago. Excavations have uncovered a wealth of artifacts, including tools and evidence of fire use, suggesting that this location was a focal point for social and subsistence activities. The alignment of these findings with the overarching timelines of migration routes further solidifies the significance of Cooper's Ferry as a critical waypoint for the dispersal of peoples across North America. These early archaeological sites collectively contribute to a growing body of evidence that illustrates a complex picture of migration into North America. The diversity of artifacts and the variety of sites indicate that early peoples employed multiple strategies to adapt to their environments, utilizing both coastal and inland routes as they traversed the continent. The discovery of ancient DNA, particularly from samples associated with the Anzac I burial in Montana, provides a genetic anchor that helps trace the ancestry of these early populations, linking them to later indigenous groups such as the Na-Dene and Inuit Yupik. As the archaeological record continues to expand, it becomes increasingly clear that the earliest inhabitants of North America were not merely passive wanderers. Rather, they exhibited a dynamic relationship with their environment, demonstrating adaptability and resilience in the face of climatic and ecological challenges. The evidence of migration routes, coupled with the innovative practices observed at various sites, paints a vivid picture of a continent teeming with life and cultural complexity long before European contact. In summary, the early archaeological evidence of migration into North America offers a window into the lives of the first peoples who traversed the Bering Land Bridge and established themselves across diverse landscapes. From the ancient caves of the Yukon to the rock shelters of Pennsylvania, each site contributes to a broader narrative of human adaptability and innovation. The continued study of these early migrations not only enriches our understanding of the past, but also highlights the intricate tapestry of human history that defines the Americas. https:/civilizationbuilders.net www.amazon.com/GeneConstant. Rebuilding civilization one voice at a time.